The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Here in this House of Commons, Conservatives have been repeatedly clear about our priorities. We stand for the common sense of the common people. We stand for the common good. We defend the interests of everyday, extraordinary Canadians who work hard and play by the rules, people who expect their tax dollars to be treated with respect, and people who expect a government that upholds the idea of a common citizenship aimed at together securing the common good, rather than elites who try to divide us. Now, the sad reality is that for 9 years we have been governed by a radical NDP-Liberal coalition that has sought to advance the interests of well-connected insider elites at the expense of the common people. And that is no more evident than in the case of this government's cozy relationship with the elite insider consultants at McKinsey. I am following up tonight on a question I asked about the government's close relationship with McKinsey and work done by the Auditor General on that, which revealed that in $200 million or so worth of contracts, most of those contracts did not properly follow the rules. And this government was clearly making efforts to support McKinsey. And how this came about was Dominic Barton, closely associated with the Prime Minister and people in his inner circle, was given this role of a senior economic advisor to the government. And in the context of that role, he had access to the Prime Minister in the context of providing advice and so on. And at the same time, consultants at McKinsey who were working under him, who was at the time the managing partner for McKinsey, were selling to the government. So they were able to take advantage of this relationship to sell management consulting contracts to the government. And that preferential relationship really benefited McKinsey. It allowed McKinsey to do massively more business under these Liberals than they ever had before. So it was from the beginning, and it has become more so over time, a government serving the interests of well-connected elite insiders. So what did Canadians get for these hundreds of millions of dollars that we sent to McKinsey that the Auditor General said didn't follow the rules? Well, we got advice that could have and should have been offered from within the public service. Meanwhile, who are these consultants at McKinsey? Who are these people that the Liberals have chosen to be preferred beneficiaries of these advice contracts in government? Well, McKinsey has a sordid record of involvement in scandal all over the world. Most notably, McKinsey advised Purdue Pharma on how to supercharge sales of opioids, effectively how to supercharge the opioid crisis. And this is another example, frankly, of how insider elites were able to cash in at the expense of common people. So many everyday people, in fact, disproportionately working Canadians who, as a result of maybe physical labor, were more likely to have workplace-related physical pain, were prescribed opioids as a result of the false over-promotion of these products by Purdue, aided by McKinsey. That led to addiction, and that led to so much pain and suffering that continues today. The elite insiders at Purdue and at McKinsey were able to cash in, and they're still benefiting from government policy, as Purdue produces Dilaudid for government-funded safe supply, so-called programs, and McKinsey has benefited so much from contracts with the government. So why is this government so bent on supporting McKinsey instead of advancing the interests of the common people? It's a real shame.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the honourable member from Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan, for his question. He talks about common sense. My mother used to say, common sense isn't all that common. Every time I hear him speak, I realize how right my mother was. Our government takes its responsibility as stewards of the public purse very seriously, and we are committed to making sure that government spending stands up to the highest levels of scrutiny. Madam Speaker, we welcome and accept the findings of the recommendations of the Auditor General with regards to her most recent report on procurement of professional services. The findings are very much in line with several previous internal and external reviews. Madam Speaker, let me remind the member across the way that independent audits of with McKinsey found no evidence of political interference. The Joint Treasury Board and Public Services and Procurement Canada review, however, reinforced that there is always opportunities to further improve and strengthen the Government of Canada's procurement practices, and that is exactly what we have done, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, PSPC is the federal government's central purchasing agent and is committed to conducting procurements in an open, fair, and transparent manner. Of course, the Government of Canada already has solid regulations, procedures, and guidelines in place to make sure that happens in every department. But we're always looking for ways to continuously improve our processes, to make them more rigorous, and to ensure decisions and justifications are properly documented along the way. To that end, PSPC has already instituted several changes. These include introducing a mandatory requirement for all contracting authorities to retain all and any documents related to contractual decisions for professional services. They also include changing how the department administers non-competitive national master standing offers by ensuring justifications are on file and a challenge function occurs. In addition, the department has created a new position of Chief Contract Quality Assurance and Records Compliance. This will also help to ensure that critical elements of decision-making throughout the procurement process are properly documented, that guidelines and tools are put in place, and that quality is being actively monitored. Madam Speaker, these efforts are consistent with PSPC's commitment to continuously improve government procurement practices more broadly, and I can tell you that we will keep looking for ways to strengthen the integrity of government procurement. Regarding the Auditor General's June 2024 report, we also accept her recommendation to further strengthen measures to appropriately report and monitor potential conflicts of interest. The Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat now has new mandatory procedures that provide an additional check and balance for managers to reinforce their responsibilities and accountabilities when undertaking professional services procurement activities. As a department that has a proactive and rigorous process to identify conflicts of interest in the procurement process, PSPC is supporting Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat in the implementation of its new mandatory procedures. Again, I want to thank the Auditor General and her team for undertaking this review and for their findings and valuable recommendation. They will help us continue to improve our processes and ultimately strengthen the integrity of federal procurement professional services. Our government will always do all that is possible to ensure that the best value for Canadian taxpayers with all government procurements. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Madam Speaker, my colleague across the way began by telling us how his mother used to say that common sense isn't that common anymore. Well, Madam Speaker, I want to assure that member's mother and all Canadians that we will soon be restoring common sense leadership in this country. That right now, if you listen to the announcements coming from the government, you'd think common sense had gone out of fashion. But I think that after the next election, we will have a government that once again listens to the common sense of the common people. Now, what you hear from the government in order to defend the outrageous misuse of taxpayer dollars that we've seen throughout government contracting is they say, well, sure, we can always do better. You know, better is always possible, as the Prime Minister used to say. Well, the fact is things have gotten so much worse in the last 9 years. Better is indeed possible. It is necessary. It's what Canadians are demanding. So will the member agree that it has been 9 years of failure and we need a new common sense government that will fix these challenges?
Parliamentary Secretary.
Since we're determined to talk about family tonight, Madam Speaker, I will remind this member that his aunt not only lives in my riding, but she has my sign on her lawn and is a big supporter of mine. So she will not agree with anything he just said, just to be perfectly clear. But I will leave that there. Look, the government takes its responsibility with respect to procurement very seriously. This government takes its responsibility to responsibly spending taxpayers' dollars very seriously. This allegation and notion made by the member opposite is just utter rhetoric, which comes as no great surprise. I think I'm accurate in saying that he generates more eye rolls on his own side of the House than he does on this side of the House most days. But I do want to thank him for his passion and bringing this issue to the attention of the House again tonight. Thank you.